there's a level of vulnerability that you might not be able to just access with anybody because they don't know how to go there. They don't know you. It's weird. You're a complete stranger. What the hell do you mean? You're trying to figure out what am I scared about if I die? What am I most afraid of? What have I been doing wrong in my family? Who is it that I've most disappointed in my life? These are concerning things, but they're fun conversations. Do you ever feel drained after surface level conversations? Or what about being overwhelmed because of deep ones? Well, today we're going to be talking about something that maybe you've spoken about it before, maybe you haven't. We're going to be talking about the pros and cons of big talk and small talk. Okay, we're going to try and understand how are they both useful. We are going to try and see if there are actionable steps for us to get better at both and when and where to use them. Okay, please, I'm going to catch you all in the beginning this time because you guys are maybe not listening. I need you all to please like, follow, and subscribe, especially if you know someone that might struggle a little bit with conversation. This might help them. Okay, so as always, we are going to start with our unsolicited advice corner. Now, this week is a little bit different, simple. We're going to try a little bit more writing. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more homework this week as well. Preferably, you might need a pen and paper for this episode if that's what you are into while watching videos, but that's just foreshadowing for what's to come. Okay, but this week we are going to start with our UAC, and it goes like this. What if the reason you're unhappy is because you don't know how to give yourself permission to be happy? At first, I thought it was because people chose to be down, but then I realized how normal it is to ask what's wrong instead of what's right. Then I figured, what if nobody understands their own facial expression or body language? What if I was just thinking, if I look like that, it would mean I am losing to something in my life. That meant it was all me, the anger, the sadness, the fear. They were me, wearing other people's faces, covered in other people's words. What a toxic piece of poison I've added to the world. Do better. Okay? So, yeah, big talk versus small talk, right? So this is our new little transition because we're trying to get away from a little bit of the sad stuff. So we're going to start with obviously trying to define the two things because that makes it easier for us. So the first thing is small talk is simple. It is light surface level topics, weather, weekend plans, what it is that you done yesterday, fairly surface stuff, not really getting into anything. Okay, and then big talk is obviously deeper conversations. What are your dreams? What are your fears? What are your values? What's your purpose? Okay, and one of the reasons that these two things are kind of being compared or people speak about them so often, in my opinion, is because the one leads to social bonding and the other leads to emotional connection. Now, I'm terrible at small talk. You might not have guessed, considering the fact that I try and have a podcast where I talk constantly about things that I don't understand, or things that I'm feeling, or things that I'm going through, and hoping to connect with you and get your feedback. I'm going to keep hammering that through this episode. But for me, small talk is kind of difficult because I don't know how to read the cues as to when I should shift. I always make the mistake of skipping small talk and jumping straight into the hard conversation just so I can tell if someone actually wants to speak to me or not. Okay. But learning that difference, or learning the bridge between small talk and big talk, I think is a very, very important thing. And the easy question or easy way to understand it is if I ask you how your weekend was, and then before giving you the moment or the time to answer, I follow it up with a question that's also like, what's one thing that you done over the weekend that energized you, or that made you happy, or that made you sad, or that surprised you? That is kind of going to be where we're focusing this week. And the reason for that is because with the pros and cons of small talk, emotional bonding, social bonding, it becomes a matter of, do you maybe feel disconnected from the world because of the fact that you don't know how to have the conversations you'd like to have? And that's kind of where we're trying to focus on this week. I'm trying to take it away from other people and kind of move it more towards you and focus on kind of what's going on in your head that you're not letting other people know. And this is kind of the start of that. Okay, hopefully there are some actionable things that you can take out of here and use, but let's maybe understand it a little bit easier. So, starting with small talk, it's a really easy way to break the ice because I think that's its main purpose, and kind of to gauge what level it is that someone is trying to interact with you. It's conversational lubricant, if you can call it that. It's something that makes it a little bit easier to open up. Oh, I know that this person is not just trying to get something out of me. I know this person is not trying to take advantage of me. Those types of things. Unfortunately, I think game on both sides, whether male or female, has kind of skewed that a little bit. So there is that, but we're gonna leave it at that. Um, but small talk can lead into deeper conversation, and I think one of the harder parts of small talk is that it feels extremely repetitive. You could talk to 100 strangers at one event, and they would all probably ask you similar questions based on what their motives are, obviously. But it's more about, while you are talking to someone, are you actively listening and trying to engage with them and understand what it is that they are saying? You have to dig where there's shallow sand, if I can go back to a previous episode's reference. And you need to decide if shifting deeper is something that it is that you want to do. Conversation is very much, I feel like it's a very much ebb and flow based thing. It is, you don't always need to be talking and you don't always need to be listening, but eventually if you do one of those things too much, it tends to become, excuse me, overwhelming for the other person, and that's what you would be trying to avoid with small talk, right? And then with the pros of big talk, you have the benefit of you building meaningful bonds. You get making those bonds have more trust inside of them because of the opening up that it is that you're doing. And you also have both people walking away from the interaction feeling fulfilled. No, maybe. We hope. Let me say it like that. I've had very many conversations where I'm the only person that remembers the conversation and the other person forgets. So that is a thing. But it also tends to build longer term, stronger, foundational relationships that tend to be a little bit more connected to who it is that you are as a person, as opposed to trying to impress or create interest in someone, which can still be very difficult if you are trying to do it for that purpose. And then one of the cons is it can feel overwhelming. It also doesn't fit in certain situations. I think a very simple place where I think big talk tends to struggle tends to be in the workplace. It's almost rude and intrusive sometimes, so you need to be a little bit mindful of that. And you need to technically test if someone is ready for big talk by using small talk. It's not two separate worlds. They are interchange and they connect because of the fact that it will make it easier if you jump out of big talk and go into small talk just to gather yourself and then go back. It's not, you don't need to consistently go to that deep place. And this is very funny advice coming from me to me, but it is a thing. And then I think one of the easier things is maybe just give an invite. Listen, this is a topic I'd like to talk to you more about. Are you keen on it? It seems like a silly question, and I think lots of people are not very keen on asking to invite someone into something. It's the permission of it all, because it's, I'm just going to do what it is that I want to do. That's not what this episode is about. So I think one of the cons of big talk is that it doesn't always fit in every situation, and I've kind of found that out the hard way, because in my head it's how I gauge whether or not a stranger is comfortable, and I guess with nothing, because of the fact that I'm not willing to do the small talk thing to figure out who it is that you are, why it is that you are the way you are, type stuff. And just how the hell was your day? What have you been catching on? What type of energy are you on today, so that I can gauge where we can go to? But there's a level of vulnerability that you might not be able to just access with anybody, because they don't know how to go there, they don't know you, it's weird, you're a complete stranger. What the hell do you mean? You're trying to figure out, what am I scared about? If I die, what am I most afraid of? What have I been doing wrong in my family? Who is it that I've most disappointed in my life? These are concerning things, but they're fun conversations to me, and they're always going to be fun conversations. It's just, I guess, maybe not everybody wants to have them with me, and that's perfectly fine. Um, so what do you do, right? How do you use this thing? How is there any kind of value in this small talk, big talk understanding? I think if you struggle with conversation, I don't have another piece of advice outside of have to actually try and talk. And to some people, it comes easier than others, and that sucks. But even if you do struggle, you can still learn. You don't need to do the crazy thing and go straight to the difficult question, but also be there, be present, because if you are paying attention to what it is that you are talking about, how was your weekend? Is there anything that happened this weekend that was interesting? Is there anything this weekend that's story worthy? It's it's a follow up with a question that doesn't apply too much pressure to anybody, but it does invite them to tell you something about themselves that maybe they don't realize they're going to share with you, and that's pretty nice. But also have a little bit of tact, be graceful, be gentle. You don't need to force depth, because if there's warmth, the depth will come. If there's closeness, there will be warmth. So just kind of being in the space and being comfortable enough to survive the small talk for 10 minutes. It's it's weird because small talk is also in a lot of cultures something that happens before business. It's something that happens before the serious conversation occurs. So learn it. It's probably going to be important at multiple different points in your life. And probably one of the hardest skills of talking is listening. And a lot of people don't understand that it's a lot harder to actively listen than I think it is to actively speak. So take your time, slow things down, and be a little bit patient with it. Okay. Before we move over to the next kind of portion, talking about big talk, I want to insert the first. I'm gonna call it a writing prompt for now. I will, me and names. I'll come up with a name about a week or so from now. I'm gonna do the exact opposite of what it is that I'm telling you to do. I'm gonna skip the small talk and I'm gonna get straight into something that I want to try with you guys for the first time. I need to know if it works, if you care, if it's relevant. But I'm gonna try it about 5 or 6 times, and then I'll push again for more feedback. Okay. So the prompt that we're gonna go with this week is maybe I should have, and we're gonna leave it open ended, and you are just gonna fill in your own thing, right? So let's say I'm gonna pretend to do the homework in front of you guys so that you can understand. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have. Sorry, let me just do this so that I have writing space. Okay, small, short, not really as oomphy as I might have wanted it to be, but maybe I should have let the pain go and hold space for growth. Maybe I shouldn't be afraid of the pain. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll carry on with my little thing just so I can give it a little bit more meat. And then in next week's episode, I'll start with that after the UAC, and then we'll see if it works. But do it at home, write it down, find it on a Sunday when you're bored and lazy and not in the mood to do anything. Um, Try it, right? Let's see if there is a way for us to connect, even if we don't know that's what's happening. Okay. And okay, we have one more thingy, but we'll come back to that. Right. So I think in any social situation, one of the things we don't realize that is connected to confidence is kind of our ability to adapt in those situations. I know a lot of people that are more confident based on the group of people that's around them or the group of people that's with them, but can be very different in a alone or an isolated kind of environment, which I guess does also come from there's no need for the inside jokes and all. There's no ability, let me say, for the inside jokes and stuff to make sense with strangers, but with people that you've regularly been going out with, those kind of accumulate. So it makes it easier to jump between the big talk and the small talk thing, hence the connection element. But maybe this week you need to. That's what you should actually try. Have a small talk interaction. Hey, how's your day? How's your energy? That type of thing. Very surface, very quick, almost trying to prompt a small and short answer, and then take that and try and bridge it into a deeper conversation, right? And if you are worried or if you are nervous and you can't just do it in a single, whether it's a message or a face-to-face interaction, maybe ask the small talk question, pause, let the person answer, invite them, ask permission, to have that deeper conversation, and then bridge to the deeper chat. But actually want to have it. Don't do it because it's a game. Like, talk about something that you actually would like to talk about with this person, because of the fact that I think it's about that connection element. And let's maybe try focusing on that. Okay. Um, if Let's try something. Okay, because I told you I'm gonna ask you for lots of engagement this video. Um, I need to give a call to action. So the call to action is gonna be da 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 da. Da. Let me know in the comments if you are a small talk or a big talk person. That's it. You don't even have to say anything. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to elaborate. Say small talk or big talk. That's it. Let's see if I've got more small talkers or more big talkers viewing, watching. And then we also need to come up with a name, but we'll figure that out. Also, the goal is to break the 1,000 on the subs. So that's what we're working towards. So tell your friends, friends, and your friends. Okay, just so that you guys are in the loop for future episodes. And if this is your first episode, please go back and find something interesting to shout at me for. Okay, the studio, the setup has changed quite a few times. If there's things that you want change or that you'd like to see a little bit different, or even segment ideas, because the unsolicited advice corner is going to become an anonymous thing where I'm going to try and get you guys to give me some of your advice for the week, so that I can tell people that are watching what it is that's going on out there. Okay, and I think maybe here where we are, let's try our third thingy. Okay, this is our big talk topic for this week. So this is just going to be a prompt. I'm going to give you the prompt. You don't have to answer it. You can pause the video after I ask it if you'd like to answer it. But the prompt for this week is, if you knew tomorrow was your last day, what would you do today? And I mean, if you knew you were going to be gone tomorrow, you were going to be dead, it was going to be the end of it, what would you do with today? Okay, pause, do your thing if you're going to do it, but here where we stand, right? That is the taste of that. Anyway, okay, so we still have our music recs for this week, because that's something that I'm going to do. The second thing that I would like to do is also do an anime recommendation. Okay, so the anime recommendation that I'm going to do is for Lazarus. Now, I don't know if anybody else is a major fan of Cowboy Bebop, but there's a very big element of Cowboy Bebop in Lazarus, and I heard about it first a couple of years ago. I'm not even going to give a synopsis or a plot. I'm going to put the picture up. I'm going to let you see it. After you've watched it, you can shout at me and tell me you didn't like it or it was trash. But realistically, I think it is one of those. It's one of those hidden gems that a lot of people haven't been speaking about because it lost the hype that it created. Right? We're gonna leave that there. That is our anime recommendation for this week. Now we are going to do our music recs. Okay, on our music recs for this week, we trying to keep on the big talk, small talk energy. But the music is so nice. Okay, I've done a little bit of a different thing. I've kind of switched up the speed of the music because I noticed that I'm all over the place with the actual recommendations. So this week we are starting with Darling by Elise. I never know how to say this guy's name. Okay, so Darling by Elise is going to be the first track for this week. And then we are going to have for Troubled Boys by Kota the Friend. Oh, I'm sharing my gems with you guys. Then the third track I'm gonna add this week is gonna be Better Man by Rex Life Raj. And then we have a Sophie Faith song called Something I Said. And this recommendation, funny enough, actually comes from my sister because I was speaking to her about the fact that I want to ask a little bit more questions and I want to get more engagement. And she wanted me to start the episode with this song, but unfortunately, that's not how the song lyrics go. So the song is How by Julian Gomez. Okay, so to wrap it all up, what is it all about, right? So big talk, small talk, both important for different reasons. Okay. The one is about emotional connection, the other is about social bonding. One does help lead to the other. Small talk, lubrication of conversation, deep talk or big talk is a lot more deeper and it's to get us closer to one another. Okay. We should be focused on the when and the where and the why it is that we are doing what it is that we're doing in conversation. So it is very important to understand the balance of both. Okay. Um, you can branch conversations from small to deep to big, but the question that you need to ask yourself is the when, right? Because I told you that's something that I struggled with. So maybe the last piece of advice that I'll give is for every three small talk questions, look for two bridges that can lead to one big talk conversation. Okay, so that you have something actionable. Um, then yeah, basics, normal end of a video, guys. Do me a favor and please like, follow, and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Share it with someone that actually is maybe having a problem deep with conversation. Maybe tell me I spoke utter garbage the video in the comments. Do something. Let me know. Make a noise. I'd appreciate the noise. And then don't forget, stay curious, stay kind, stay connected. I will see you guys next week, Monday, on the Ordinary Connection podcast. See you.